There's something strange about avoidants. They seem detached, unemotional, almost unreachable. Yet the truth is, they value something incredibly rare in a woman. Not the surface, level things people chase today, but the kind of energy, depth, and presence that shakes their emotional walls without ever demanding entry. Most people spend years trying to win their affection by giving more, proving their loyalty, or fixing their distance. But avoidants don't value that. They're not moved by chasing, pleading, or perfection. What they secretly crave, though they'd never admit it, are three specific qualities that most women never embody because they require strength, self-trust, and emotional mastery. When a woman holds these traits, she becomes unforgettable, not because she tries to be, but because her energy challenges the avoidant's deepest fears and desires all at once. Avoidants live in a constant contradiction. They want love, but they fear it. They crave connection, yet they run from it the moment it feels real. Deep down, they are haunted by the idea of being emotionally consumed or losing their independence. And so they protect themselves by shutting down. But when an avoidant meets a woman who is emotionally still, something inside him shifts. She doesn't chase his silence with anxious energy or demand explanations for his distance. She doesn't crumble when he disappears or twist herself to get a reaction. Instead, she sits in her own calmness, unbothered by his unpredictability, because she understands that someone's emotional storm isn't her responsibility to fix. That quiet strength disarms him. Her stillness becomes the one thing he can't manipulate because it doesn't respond to chaos. It absorbs it. Most people think love means proving your devotion, constantly showing up, or filling the space with effort. But an avoidant values the opposite. When a woman can regulate her emotions, stay centered, and not take his distance personally, it makes him feel something rare. Safety without pressure. She becomes the kind of presence he can't categorize because she isn't seeking validation through his attention. Her calm unsettles him at first because it exposes how reactive and fearful he really is. But with time, that same stillness begins to soothe him. He starts to associate her energy with peace, something he's never found in himself. Emotional stillness doesn't mean indifference. It means knowing your own emotional world so well that someone else's behavior can't easily disturb it. It's the difference between being emotionally intelligent and emotionally needy. This kind of woman doesn't need to explain her worth. Her silence already does. When he withdraws, she doesn't chase. When he returns, she doesn't punish him. She allows people to reveal who they are and acts accordingly. Not out of fear, but clarity. That's what draws an avoidant in. Her emotional calmness doesn't just attract him. It teaches him something about himself. The truth is, avoidants don't fall for drama or pressure, they fall for peace. And a woman who embodies stillness becomes the mirror that reflects their inner chaos. She's the only one who can hold her ground when everything else feels uncertain. To an avoidant, that's not just attractive. It's unforgettable. Avoidants are drawn to women who carry an energy of non-attachment, the kind of woman who can love deeply without losing herself in that love. She's not indifferent, but she doesn't cling either. She gives affection freely, yet her world doesn't collapse if it isn't returned. For an avoidant who lives in fear of emotional engulfment, that kind of energy feels safe and liberating at the same time. Most people try to win an avoidant's heart through pursuit, through reassurance, through proving they'll never leave. But a woman with non-attachment doesn't chase or prove. She understands that love isn't something to control, it's something to allow. Her self-worth isn't built on whether he chooses her, stays, or validates her. It comes from knowing that she'll be okay either way. This makes her incredibly magnetic to an avoidant. He senses that she isn't emotionally dependent on him, that she doesn't expect him to complete her. That energy makes him lower his defenses because he no longer feels trapped by the weight of her expectations. When she steps back, he doesn't feel abandoned. He feels curious. He begins to question why her detachment feels so peaceful compared to the intensity of others who have demanded his attention. She becomes a mystery he wants to understand because her love feels both freeing and powerful. Non-attachment doesn't mean she doesn't care. It means she refuses to grip love out of fear. When he pulls away, she doesn't chase. When he returns, she welcomes him with calm eyes, not punishment. Her boundaries are soft but firm. She can care and still let go. This confuses the avoidant because he's used to being either pursued or rejected. But she does neither. She simply allows things to flow naturally, trusting that what's meant for her will stay without being forced. That kind of emotional independence challenges his mindset completely. Over time, he starts to crave her energy because it doesn't suffocate him. She doesn't make him the center of her world, yet he feels more seen by her than anyone else. Her detachment teaches him what real love feels like: love without control, love without fear. The more she stays in her power, the more he realizes that she's not the one who needs him. He's the one who needs her peace. There's a third quality that makes an avoidant deeply value a woman: her ability to stay rooted in self-respect no matter how strong her emotions are. Most people lose themselves in love. They compromise their boundaries just to keep the connection alive. But a woman with true self-respect doesn't let her feelings silence her standards. She can love someone and still walk away if that love begins to erode her peace. For an avoidant who constantly tests emotional limits through distance, silence, or unpredictability, that level of self-respect feels both confronting and captivating. He's used to people bending for him, tolerating his hot and cold behavior, or trying to earn his love through endless patience. But when he meets a woman who refuses to beg, chase, or shrink herself just to be accepted, she stands out. Her self-respect becomes the boundary he didn't know he needed. An avoidant might not show it, but he watches how you handle yourself when he withdraws. Do you chase, argue, or try to fix it? Or do you stay centered and choose peace over chaos? A woman with strong self-respect never competes for emotional scraps. She knows her worth doesn't decrease just because someone can't recognize it. And that silent confidence shakes an avoidant's defenses. He begins to see that she's not like the others. Not because she's playing games, but because she values herself enough to walk away from what doesn't value her back. That energy unsettles him. But it also earns his respect in a way no words could. Self-respect also changes the dynamic completely. Instead of trying to win him over, she holds her energy with grace. She doesn't need to prove she's good enough for love. She knows she already is. And when he senses that, it triggers both fear and fascination in him. He's drawn to her because she mirrors the kind of strength he secretly admires but can't embody. She doesn't punish, chase, or emotionally collapse. She simply chooses herself. With time, he realizes that this kind of woman can't be controlled through withdrawal or silence. Her respect for herself teaches him what true emotional maturity looks like. And even if he distances himself, her image lingers in his mind. The woman who never needed to beg to be chosen. That's the kind of presence that changes an avoidant forever because it shows him what real strength in love truly looks like. The fourth quality that an avoidant secretly values in a woman is emotional depth without emotional chaos. Avoidants often see emotions as dangerous because, in their past, emotions usually meant conflict, loss, or vulnerability that led to pain. They've learned to shut down rather than feel. But when a woman comes along who can express her feelings with grace, control, and truth, it awakens something deep inside him. She's not afraid of feeling. She's just learned how to feel without drowning. That's rare, and that's what captures his attention. Most people either suppress emotions to seem strong or overshare them to be understood. But this woman lives in balance. She can look him in the eyes and say how she feels without turning it into a storm. Her words are soft, but her truth is firm. That level of emotional mastery disarms him because it shows strength without aggression and vulnerability without desperation. Avoidants are terrified of being emotionally overwhelmed, so when a woman can stay calm even in confrontation, it changes everything. She doesn't throw her pain at him, she owns it. She can say, "This hurt me," without making it about blame. That makes him listen, even if he doesn't show it. For the first time, he feels safe around emotions instead of trapped by them. Her composure makes him curious. He wonders how she can feel so deeply and yet stay so grounded. That curiosity is the first step toward emotional awakening for him. Her emotional depth also reveals something to him, that love isn't always loud or dramatic sometimes, it's quiet strength. When she shares her truth without losing her calm, she models the very thing he's been running from. Connection that doesn't destroy but heals. It challenges everything he believes about intimacy. She teaches him that emotions don't have to be a battlefield, they can be a bridge. And even when he pulls away, her emotional stability lingers in his memory. He starts to crave the safety of her energy because it feels like home, calm, warm, and real. The beauty of emotional depth is that it never needs to chase validation. It simply expresses, then releases. That's why an avoidant values it so deeply. It doesn't demand, it invites. And in a world full of people trying to force connection, that kind of emotional maturity becomes unforgettable to someone who's been hiding from their own feelings all their life. The fifth quality that an avoidant secretly values in a woman is her unwavering independence. Most people feel that love means dependence, that being in a relationship requires constant attention, reassurance, or compromise of personal freedom. But an avoidant is drawn to a woman who has built a life of her own, who pursues her passions, and who thrives without needing him to complete her. She doesn't measure her worth by his presence or approval, and she doesn't tie her happiness to the ups and downs of his mood. That kind of independence is magnetic to an avoidant because it mirrors the freedom he fears he might lose in love. He's used to people leaning on him for emotional fulfillment, but this woman doesn't. She respects herself enough to stand alone, and in doing so, she inspires him to see what real balance in a relationship can feel like. Her independence doesn't make her cold or detached. It makes her irresistible. She can enjoy intimacy, connection, and love, but she doesn't cling or smother. She has her own boundaries, her own goals, and her own identity, and she refuses to compromise them for the sake of someone else. For an avoidant, this is revolutionary. He sees that love doesn't have to be a cage. He realizes that he can stay in a relationship without feeling trapped or suffocated because she's already whole on her own. Her life doesn't revolve around his presence, yet she welcomes him into her world when he chooses to be there. That balance of closeness and autonomy is rare, and it captivates him in ways that chasing or pleading never could. A woman with true independence also signals that she won't tolerate disrespect or inconsistency. She won't beg for attention or validation because she knows her value. She doesn't react to withdrawal with panic or anger. Instead, she continues to live fully with confidence and purpose. This teaches the avoidant something he often avoids facing, that relationships can be empowering rather than demanding, freeing rather than binding. Over time, he begins to admire her independence more than anything else. He notices the strength it takes to love freely while remaining grounded in herself. He starts to realize that she is not someone to be controlled or possessed, but someone to be honored. And that realization shifts the way he experiences connection. Instead of fearing intimacy, he begins to understand that love can coexist with freedom, and that a woman who can balance both is someone truly unforgettable. The sixth quality that avoidants deeply value in a woman is her unwavering authenticity. In a world where many people wear masks to be liked, accepted, or loved, a woman who is completely herself unapologetically stands out like a beacon. She doesn't pretend to be someone she's not to gain approval, and she doesn't mold herself to fit anyone else's expectations. She speaks her truth, shows her true emotions, and acts in alignment with her values, even when it's uncomfortable or inconvenient. For an avoidant who often hides behind walls, games, or detachment, encountering someone so real is both unsettling and magnetic. Her authenticity forces him to confront his own defenses and masks. And although that might scare him at first, it also draws him in because there is a level of honesty he rarely experiences in others. Authenticity signals to an avoidant that she cannot be controlled or manipulated. He quickly realizes that she won't bend for him or adjust herself to suit his moods. She has a clear sense of who she is, what she wants, and what she will not tolerate. That certainty challenges him in ways that most people never do, because it confronts his habit of emotional avoidance. Yet, at the same time, it makes him feel a deep respect and quiet admiration. He senses that she is a woman of integrity, someone whose inner world is not swayed by his games or unpredictable behavior. Her authenticity becomes a stabilizing force in the chaos of his own mind. This quality also communicates profound confidence. She is comfortable with her flaws, her desires, and her boundaries. She doesn't seek constant validation because she knows her value from within. When he tries to test her or withdraws, she responds with honesty, clarity, and composure, never with